We will welcome now Professor Zerguini from Algeria. He's the chairman of the Center of Excellence of FIFA Day, and he also is a long-standing member of FIFA Medical Committee. Welcome, Professor Zerguini.
It's in my pocket. Ah, je vais juste le lire, ils ont déjà là. Yeah, good morning. Thank you for a nice introduction. Thank you also for invitation from ISACOS, Professor Philippe Néret, also from Aspetar. Thank you for hospitality and the legendary hospitality in Doha. And finally, thank you for my boss for 22 years in FIFA Medical Committee, the best boss ever for this committee. Yes, I confess, is the only one I know. Let's change subject a little bit and talk about a very special subject, about Ramadan fasting, which is one of the most important, in fact, the fourth pillar of faith in Islam. During this month, occurring every year, of course, all Muslims are invited in all conscience to abstain from all type of nutrients. This is a period of physical and mental self-discipline during which each Muslim must refrain also not only for eating or drinking, but also from unhealthy or aggressive behavior. On the right, this is some culture about Islamic, very important and of course better period in Baghdad, this fantastic Arab miniature from Maqamet Hariri, which is now in the National Library in Paris. And it was in the 13th century, obviously a better century for Baghdad than this last one. About the story of this subject in medical and science, I have to return to 2003. 2003 was one of the FIFA competition. It was indoor football in Guatemala, and the people from technical department were asking us in the medical committee to give some explanation about the Egyptian team. They were very successful in the first part of the competition. The three first matches of Egyptian team during the group phase, they won all the three matches with a minimum of 4 goals difference. But fourth final, they lost 7-0. And after discussion in the committee, I just told my colleagues that there was a very important difference in time. Phase of group, it was just the week before Ramadan, and the first fourth final match was the first day of Ramadan. And of course, the Egyptian team, all of them were fasting and not preparing at this time for this difficult, different condition. Then, with my colleagues in the medical committee, we used now the standard method. And we were beginning from a very simple question, as we do in F-Mark for any other subject: does Ramadan influence body metabolism and performance of professional football players? It was then a first answer after a very quick research program I have the pleasure and the honor to do in Algiers for the impact of Ramadan on physical performance in some professional soccer player. And also, I had a look, and we had a look to the literature, and we found we were not the only one to be interested on the subject. And we had this paper from our friends, also from a Muslim country in Turkey. And this study was conducted during the last 3 days of Ramadan fasting, which is very important. You will understand later. And it can be assumed that metabolic adaptation was at its optimal state compared to earlier periods of Ramadan. Then we understood that it was a kind of adaptation during this period. We have then our first big publication from F-Mark in the supplement of first supplement of the Journal of Sports Science in 2006, and we were working with a great team from the 5 confederations, and you will. Then we had after this publication, we had a fantastic opportunity to discuss this important subject here in the city of Doha with the invitation made from Aspetar together with the Center of Excellence in Algiers to organize the first international consensus meeting on Ramadan and football. It was November 2011, and we it was in 2011, and this first consensus conference on Ramadan and football brought together not only scientists, but also physicians from teams, and more important, football players to exchange, and coaches also, to exchange their knowledge and experience in order to develop recommendations for fasting players. During this meeting, we have a picture here. You could recognize some people sitting around. Not that much, but yeah, there is faces younger on this picture, but still here. We have then, after this consensus meeting, a second supplement from Journal of Sports Science with all the people having written something or studying, really studying about Ramadan and performance. In this second supplement, the main points were that it was no single coping strategy to have with this issue. The one-size-fits-all approach is unlikely to be the solution. The team, the club, fellow non-Muslim, Muslim players, and family members must support these players in every way as they strive to find this solution. The main aim of the study globally was not to decide we need to fast or not to fast. The main aim of the study was to help the players who decided, according to their faith, to fast. Muslim majority teams may choose to move training session to late afternoon or early evening to enable refueling of depleted energy stores right afterwards when breaking the fast after dusk. Others may reduce training intensity and concentrate on technique instead. This is clearly more difficult for individual Muslim players in a non-fasting team, which is the case of more and more players in the high-level European clubs. We had then very interesting papers, including in the excellent Aspetar Sports Medicine Journal, with this figure about the strategy of decision from the player. It's Shakespearean, to fast or not to fast. If you don't fast, in many countries, including and maybe more in North Africa, you may face a disapproval from family, friends, and also from yourself. You feel guilty, criticized by the whole community. To skip fasting on training and competition days is a kind of to be in the middle, but it's also not that easy. Then when to fast all days or skip fasting on competition days only. But to fast or not to fast is clearly a personal decision for the player. We cannot tell him what to do. We can just help him after his decision. Oops. One major, it's okay, it's the individual approach, we say, but one major observation of the consensus meeting was how much remains unknown about the subject. And it's demanding urgent investigation to address open questions. One example is the lack of any data of fasting practices and performance in female players. And as you know, female football is growing extensively. Further studies are required to compile the evidence, and then using this foundation, the best recommendations may be extracted for like daily eating, drinking, sleeping practices, and also, and then this is the relation with our subject today, the injuries. So far, two big studies have been published on the effects of Ramadan on injuries in soccer. The first one from my friend and his team in Tunis, about one professional league. One team from Tunisia studied for 2 consecutive years, and the other one from here in Aspetar with my friend, the excellent Cristiano Herali and his team. Almost all the league from first league teams from Qatar for 3 consecutive seasons. Yeah, for Cristiano Herali, Ramadan does not impact injury incidents for Muslim footballers in Qatar, suggesting the current adjustments and scheduling of football activity during Ramadan are sufficient. The increased match injury among non-Muslims, which is another problem, during and 2 months post-Ramadan may suggest less effective coping strategies. For Karim Shamari, he was studying 42 players from one first league team, followed during 2 seasons in Tunisia. Hello? Yes? The risk factors for elite soccer players' injuries have been widely listed during this program, but some aspects remain unclear or unstudied. The relationship between injury rate and sleep quality, for instance, and training load remains unclear. Injuries during Ramadan are conflicting results, probably due to lifestyle and cultural locational factors. Then we were discussing, and we decided together to offer to the football community, together from Algiers Center of Excellence and Aspetar, research program about injury rate, training load, sleep in elite footballers from Middle East and Maghreb, which is North Africa, with the effects of Ramadan fasting during the season and preparation period. This program is still in preparation, and the aim is to monitor injury incidence in elite footballers of two countries belonging to two different parts of the Muslim majority zone, with a special focus on the relationships of injuries and the effects of Ramadan during the preparation phase. We will have 24 players from teams, 14 teams from Qatar, and the 16 teams for the first professional league in Algeria. Yeah, it's Ramadan. Thank you for listening. And to finish, I want just to present a few minutes. This is image and the clip from my home city. It's not Algiers, but Constantine, who was 2015 Arab Culture Capital City. It's my home city, and it's very original, as you can see here. Thank you. It's a city built on a canyon, and we say it's the bridges city. Have a look. It's also more than 1,000 years from foundation. Thank you. Maybe the idea to ease a course, FIFA, and to organize maybe a next conference like this one in my home city.